Hi guys, it's Abby with two girls, one cut. Britt's over there somewhere. Tracy
Hello.
also.
What's up?
Just real quick, wanted to let you all know how you can find us. Things are growing. You can find us on our Facebook page. You can find us on nighthawk-radio.com, YouTube Music, and Spotify, the Live 365 app, and you just search up Nighthawk Radio, and then Rumble, and that's all one word, Nighthawk Radio. And then we are also the new official home of the Ohio Blitz Arena Football. That's going to be starting September the 27th. And I'm pretty sure that it's going to be like all live home games.
Yep.
So lots of different things to check out. I've also heard there's a couple new shows getting ready to happen. So it's busy around here.
Yeah, for
It's busy
sure. I
around
mean,
here. Not
Mountain
for me,
Mysteries.
but for everybody else.
Mountain Mysteries will start 7 p.m. on Saturday. We'll have the Unfiltered Nation starting at Sunday at 8 p.m. Those are the couple of new shows that are coming on. And then
Sounds
this one,
super cool.
Thursdays at 7, the Mackenzie Hour, 8 o'clock, Thursdays, right after this one.
Yeah, man.
Super exciting.
Yep.
It is
Yep.
super exciting.
It is super growing. It's kind of got
It's
the
very
snowball
fast
effect going. Yeah.
growing.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. It's starting to get scary because
Right.
trying to keep all these balls in the air at one time, and one starts dropping, and you got to get it up there, and then the phone rings again, and that's another one dropping, and it's just
Figure out, Britt and I, how to make us some super cool merch shirts so that we look like we're put together. Like I feel like we can handle that part of the business
Yes.
because boys don't really care so much what they wear.
no.
They're suited for just polo shirts,
That's
Yeah,
right.
and just whatever
and
was
we
on
need
top of the
something a
in the
little
drawer.
bit more flashy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're crafty. I think we got it.
Oh, completely crafty,
Yeah.
and fashionable.
Yes, very.
I
But
agree.
so tonight we're not going to be talking about anyone that had any fashion sense whatsoever.
No.
Kind of a nerdy fellow, but has one of the biggest body counts. See what I did there?
The second most prolific,
Yeah,
next to Samuel
and
Little.
a little. Yep. So this man was born in Salt Lake City. His name is Gary Ridgway. He's the Green River Killer or the Green River Strangler. Um, he's one that all my nightmares are made of.
Oh,
If I thought about a serial killer that terrified me, um, which one would it be? Probably the most, it would be him
so
because,
it's something that you wake up in the middle of the night and look at the foot of your bed to make sure nobody's standing there.
yeah,
I
him,
get it.
because he's the most strangely abnormal, normal looking little man. Has a very kind of a sheepish, childlike look to his face. His hair is always kind of in his eyes, and there's nothing remarkable about him whatsoever.
So,
And the fact that he had three wives.
well,
Right.
Salt Lake
Amazing.
City. I mean,
Well, that is true.
there are
That is
Mormons out
true.
there.
Yeah,
That
not
is
three
true.
wives all at once, though, Tracy.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Come
Right.
on
I mean,
now.
Not a
you got to put
polygamist.
the
He
two and
can't
two
add that to
together.
his
I mean,
resume.
what's up? High fiving the crap out of that dude.
No, but in their defense, I guess it was all they were the first two anyway, very young, did not last very long.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like that he was always relationships to fail. Um, he is one that I feel like his mother, probably unknowingly to her or anyone else really, played a big role in his defects. growing
Mm-hmm.
up and entering into adulthood and then entering into his serial killing in his adulthood. He
So
was
what kind
definitely
of,
one that it was infatuated with his mother,
oh, so he's a Norman Bates kind of guy.
a lot like Norman
Has,
Bates,
dead mommy upstairs in a rocking chair talking to her. No mother, no mother. So
petting her. Yeah.
what, yeah, I'm a good boy, mom. Um,
Hmm.
so what kind of body count are we talking with this guy?
So he was convicted of 49, but
Dude, wow.
he was suspected and he admitted to, I believe, 71, but they think it was probably closer to 90. I mean, I know that's a lot of gaps, but
So what
but
timeline? I mean,
49 convicted of and sentenced for. And then he's definitely one that likes to talk and hear his own voice. And whenever he gets rolling, he's one that wants to take you, show you, explain to you all the things so he can relive them as well.
really
And
gets out, he
then,
gets off on it.
oh, sick.
So
Yes.
what was his time span?
So he started in 1982,
Okay.
and some places say that he ended in 1998. Some say no, it was really closer to 2001
I think
before
it was
his
like
arrest.
confirmed
Yeah,
98, but I think there are more that were suspected
yeah.
that he,
That looked like him, had the
yeah,
same MO,
yeah.
and
So we're looking at a span of say 20 years
mhm,
He
and
also had
upwards.
a couple gaps though too.
But
yeah,
well, I mean,
very
you think we're looking at possibly up to 90 some people
Hmm.
in 20 years.
20 years.
If you do
Yeah,
the math on that, that's
right,
like one every 3 weeks.
right. And
Not
for
quite, but
him,
yeah.
So
he had, like Britt said, he had long periods of cooling off time. Like whenever he married his third wife, um, there was a long point in time where he was just um June Cleaver and whatever June Cleaver's husband's name was. I mean, completely satisfied, content in his life, wasn't out doing anything. So he had years where he, was being good and not strangling prostitutes.
so it's then he would get hot again and could kill 10,
Five or
12
six.
people.
Yep. Yep. The reason that they named him the Green River Killer was because his first five, right off the rip, um, they found in or around the Green River or Green River Valley.
Okay.
And they were days apart. Like they found one, and as they were investigating one and they were in the area, I believe they kind of stumbled onto like two and three. And then maybe just a mile down the road, there was four and then five. So like it was just bang, 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 bang,
Wow. The
bang,
dude was
all
busy.
together. He was super busy. Yeah.
Hmm.
So his deal, I feel like getting back to his mom, because a lot of the times whenever I try to um look up information and learn things about these people, I want to know why. I want to know why they do what they do and why they are the way they are. And in his case, he was I believe he was in the middle of three boys. So he had an older and a younger brother. His dad was a bus driver for the county that they lived in. His mom was kind of like stay-at-home mom in the, late 50s, early 60s, very sexually provocative, very dressed very
Flamboyant.
questionable,
Yeah.
very
Also,
questionable.
just like walking around in undergarments around
Yeah,
her teenage boys.
bikinis,
Yeah.
So
always done up, made up, high
mom was a
heels.
freak.
Mom was definitely very promiscuous, apparently.
Wonder if she was hot.
Um, she was. I've seen pictures.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
She definitely looked the part. And so, um, his dad was very hostile, acting very hateful a lot of the time, and very opinionated, in how he felt towards, he called them hookers, but sex workers, prostitutes, whatever. And he would, at times, Gary would ride with him on his bus route, and he would get into different neighborhoods where he would see, groups of women that were standing, and he was always berating them and talking about how disgusting and nasty and disease ridden they were. Um, but Gary, in some of his interviews, would talk about, here he was 5 or 6 on the bus with old dad. Um, and dad would make a stop here and there and give some of his hard earned bus money to those sex workers. So he found it very confusing, as to why his dad talked about how disgusting they were and just scum of the earth, but then, turn around and use their services evidently right in front of the kid, which I
Right.
found that to be a little bit much, a little over the top. So he was definitely not your model father, role model, um, any of that. He was just very confusing and pretty pissed off all the time.
I
So
also heard that, or I also had read that mom was just like a very mean person as well, um, especially like to dad. So like I guess
a
she wasn't
loving
the better.
style.
Yeah, she wasn't the better of the two either.
Well,
They
I
were
feel
both,
like
I
that
think,
they
just
must have had a very superficial type relationship. Like
mhm,
he must have really been into her looks. And
mhm,
as he would,
So
for these women that he would frequent on the bus route, um, it got the job done, and then he was able to
yeah.
go on with it. So
so
that's kind of
he
how I feel.
probably had Oedipus Rex syndrome with his mom.
I think that that would probably be fair.
Okay.
He loathed her. He also found her very stimulating, very attractive. Um, Gary was a bedwetter up into his teenage years, and one of the things that he mentioned a lot in his interviews were, um, his mom, whenever that would happen, and he would, wake up and, of course, be in a mess and be wet and have to have his bed changed and whatnot. She would, even as a teenager, would take him to the bathroom, draw him a bath him in her robe, change his sheets and all the things. And there was a couple times that he remembered that while she was bathing him, her robe just happened to fall completely wide open. So, like, I
Mm.
feel like he has always made those associations to sex or
With his
whatever,
mom. Yeah,
to
he kind of
yes, to
yeah.
her, with her, about her, and then the guilt and probably shame that he felt from having those feelings, because at 15,
Mhm.
16, that that's not normal, typical
Right.
behavior.
Right.
um and then seeing her treat his dad in that type of way probably wasn't always kind and loving to them, as the mother. So I think he got a lot of very mixed signals, a lot of confusion was with what her role was, what his dad's role was. And he
And I
just,
feel like he really had like a lot of conflicting feelings, between like the attraction, but then also, fantasizing about killing her.
So
He
Kind of went
did.
back and forth.
his victims, were they sexually assaulted?
Yes,
Okay,
most of them.
so at this point in his life, you know, usually serial killers, we find a common thing with serial killers. They are either hatred driven or sexually driven. And they
Kind of
usually
both.
start with killing animals
Hmm.
or something to that effect. This sounds like this was the beginning of his animal killing, but it was more of a sexual thing towards his mom.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, he exhibited violent behavior. I believe it was as early as like 15 or 16. He found himself in a group of children, young children, first, second, third grade, and produced a pocket knife and pretty much gutted a 6-year-old boy, first grade boy. Um, he just bludgeoned him in his liver, pretty much.
So
And
he skipped the animal part and went straight to
he
people.
skipped
Mhm.
it, went straight to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whenever the little boy was, gasping and carrying on, which he did survive, he kept saying, why are you doing this to me? And he said, because I just want to know what it feels like to kill someone. And I feel like that's really animalistic and down to the point. And like I just don't feel like people typically have those feelings that want to know what that's like. And so he was kind of jacked up from the beginning and just kept on going with it because it worked for him.
Wow.
But
That's
the child survived, and from what I can gather, like there was no formal charges or nothing that was an adult charge that stuck because once he graduated high school, he was held back a year. He was to be said that his IQ was around 80. So like he wasn't always the brightest,
right.
ball
Yeah.
on the stage.
He wasn't
He did
very school smart, but he was
no,
pretty smart in his strategies, though, I
yeah,
feel
very
like.
savvy.
Mm-hmm.
So what's he do? He joins the service, joins the
Hmm.
Navy.
That's
He
another
joins
common
the
theme.
Navy. Yep. He does well. He's deployed a couple times to Vietnam and does fairly well. It gets an honorable discharge. Not only did he get an honorable discharge, but he also got gonorrhea, so a different type of discharge. A couple times while he was overseas.
Okay. Now, look, at this point, mom's out of the picture, dad's out of the
Mhm.
picture, and he has
Yeah,
structure and he seems to
right.
do well.
Well,
Yeah.
but also before he goes off to Vietnam, he gets married.
Mm,
Um,
you're
and
right.
so he contracts said gonorrhea and
Yeah.
gets
And
home
then
and
has to tell his first wife,
mhm,
and she's not a big fan of gonorrhea.
mhm,
Don't you catch that in that jungle?
yeah.
The
And
concrete jungle.
Yeah.
their
Hmm.
marriage ended shortly
The-
after.
Shortly thereafter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So wife number one, in, out, gone, along with yeah, along with his Navy career. I
Hmm.
think he did his 3 years or whatever his contract was, didn't reenlist. And then when he was discharged, um, I think he kind of then settled in Washington State. Um, so then he gets married a second time shortly after his first wife, and they have what seemed to be like at first a very loving, healthy relationship. Her only complaint was is that he would wear her out as far as you couldn't satisfy him with enough sex during the day. She ended up getting pregnant fairly quickly after they got married, and had a son. And then he was just, he never let up, never let up. And it got to the point where she just couldn't tolerate his personality anymore. And so she pretty much bowed out. So he found himself with a job at, I believe he worked for Kenworth as a painter of semi trucks
Okay.
pretty much his entire adult life. Had a couple really good friends there that he, kind of confided in, and kind of became like, it seemed to me like whenever he would talk about them, kind of became almost like Dear Abby, like they would come to him with their relationship problems, and he would have all the right things to say, but couldn't keep his
Oh,
own shit
they had
together.
no idea, did they?
They had no idea. But somebody that was always there for him were the sex workers, the prostitutes, the ladies of the night, all those things. So I do believe that he kind of dabbled around while he was married. But then in between of his relationships long term, that's whenever he really started going out on the town. So after I think it was um, after he split with his second wife or toward the end of their relationship that he actually start killing people, because he said many times that he was just a regular Joe, that he would have his son's little toys, cars, little evidence of a child being in his vehicle, and it made the women feel comfortable. So he would pull up on them. They would make their verbal agreement. They would get in and see these little trinkets, little toys, and ask, oh, do you have a, and then he didn't seem quite so scary, not
Sometimes they would
knowing.
also ask, "Can I see your ID?"
Right.
He said that he would open up his wallet and he would cover his name because he didn't want them to know
Mm-hmm.
his name.
Mm-hmm.
So on one side is the ID, on the other side is a picture of him and his son.
His boy.
So
Yeah.
he would
So he
use his
kind of
son,
used him,
yeah,
yes,
as
Put
a
them in
ruse.
a state of comfort and calm. They weren't
Mhm.
had
Yeah.
no idea
Right.
they was about to die.
Right. Right. And, he, like I said, he definitely moved fast pace. When he was on a roll, I think he was really working, because it seemed to me like, well, like the first five, they were just not too many days apart from each other.
Well, and
Um,
he was one that would demand sex from his wife multiple
right,
times a day. And
right.
he wanted, to go out in the woods or,
He wanted to be in the
outside or
public.
yes, yes,
He
he
was
wanted
very
that, I think
voyeuristic.
adrenaline
Hmm.
rush. So with these sex workers, he was getting that. But
Right.
then he just wanted to push it a little too far each time. And
Hmm.
someone that's, I guess, a sex addict, I'm sure he's picking up lots of prostitutes. So,
Right.
you know,
Must have got paid well.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm pretty sure. Like he pretty much,
um,
but I bet he probably took his money back,
I
Trace,
imagine he did.
after he did his due. I bet he
he got paid well.
probably got,
He
yeah, I
got
bet
paid
he,
well.
and I
Yeah,
bet he took his money back if he ever uh, handed any over after the deed was done.
That's for sure.
They're not going to need it.
that's definitely a money back guarantee.
Yep. So he used SeaTac, which is the large airport in Seattle, as kind of a cover for a lot of his crimes. He liked to, like Britt said, be outside, out in the wilderness, in national parks, different things like that. So he pretty much figured out that if he was anywhere in the area of that airport, that he people could scream and carry on, and there ain't nobody hearing them over twin jet airplane engines that's landing and taking off and whatever. And so he would just pile them up. Um, and I feel like he also had a very photographic memory. He was able to, 15, 20 years after the fact, go back. He never knew their names, but he knew where his property was located. He
Yeah,
could take,
and he also said like there were quite a few victims that he may not necessarily remember, but he remembered exactly where it happened, what happened. He probably didn't remember their face because that's not really what he was focusing on. He was focusing
right.
on the experience.
And, a lot of serial killers, they remember so much in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
The slightest little detail they'll remember. But I mean, if we're looking upwards of 90 people, how could you remember all that? But
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
like
I would say
somebody
it probably
who's,
does end up just running together.
I would think, but it's just like somebody
Mhm.
who's been in war.
Hmm.
Say these guys from World War II, they remember, they can tell you stories, and that was 70 years ago, and they remember every little detail.
Yeah.
So it's just if I find it hard to imagine how in the world do you remember all, in 70, 90,
Well,
even 40. I mean,
just from my own personal life, because I literally put everything that happens in my life to music.
that makes
I
sense.
It's amazing to me the amount of songs that I know the lyrics to. Thousands, tens of thousands of songs I could say that I can recall. Maybe not all of them, most of them, because I love music so much. And so I
Different
kind of feel
songs have
like,
happened during different experiences.
Well,
mhm,
you think about it, though, music is like a timeline of your life.
Yeah.
And
100%.
you can hear a song and go, "Hey, I remember that. I was
I was
16."
12.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
100%.
yeah, I get that part of it, because it is basically a timeline of your life. You
Hmm.
hear a song and you immediately go back to, 1990 or
Yeah.
1989,
Yep. I mean, my husband, the way that his brain works is in Super Bowls and
Mm.
sports finals, and like he can think about, what he was doing when he was watching those games, because he views it as history. And it's amazing. I'm just like, how in the world do you know what teams played what year, this, that, and the other, and what was going on in your life? And it's very similar to how I guess I am with music. You find something that you enjoy, that you love, and you can pretty much assign, anything to it. So I think that that's kind of how he was. Um, he didn't really focus, like Brett said, on their looks, or there wasn't that one thing about them. He didn't have a type. Um, it was just the experience. He just loved to kill people. And that's what he did at least 49 times. Um, but then whenever his third wife came into the picture, he was a little bit older. She was a little bit older, and he was absolutely just enamored by her. There was nobody like her. She loved him so much, and he apparently cared very deeply for her because he kind of quit on the killing scene and straightened up. They worked on their home, they worked on different hobbies together, they traveled, they did, all the things that they wanted to do as an adult couple. He was faithful to her, um, which was strange because he's never been faithful, I don't think, to anyone that he was ever in a relationship with. Um, and she kind of changed him for the better for a good long period of time. He had a pretty decent relationship with his boy, co-parented fairly well with his mother. And then he was, working on this marriage and whatever. And then not that anything really in particular happened, but the urge came back for him that he missed certain parts of things that he found joy in. And
I had read that there were only 3 confirmed killings after he married his third
his
wife.
third wife.
And she stated that she felt like she had saved a lot of people by making
Oh,
him happy at home.
right.
So she was
Oh,
somewhat of
I
a sex
totally.
addict herself then.
Well,
I
I
it
mean,
sounds like
mean, you
she
do
was
what
at
you
least
gotta
able to keep up
do.
with him.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
what was his mode of killing? What was his, I mean, was it strangulation? Was it stabbing? Was
Complete,
it
complete strangulation.
okay?
That was pretty much the only thing that I read. Um, I
And I
do
read that
think,
it was always from behind.
yep,
So
yep.
I don't
His
know if there were
You know,
sexual acts
there
going on,
was,
but I read that he would wrap his forearm around her
around
neck
the
and I
back.
guess just pull
and
that.
that's interesting because strangulation is one of the most personal ways to kill somebody. And usually
Hmm.
a strangulation is either a fit of rage or
Hmm.
you have something personal against that person
Hmm.
It
because
almost feel like every person that he killed, every woman that he killed was like almost like in his mind it was his mother.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And
Well,
but
and
I
he
would think
wouldn't
that
see their faces.
he would want to be looking at that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's strange to me that he would do it from behind because usually, like I
Hmm.
said, it's so personal that you want to watch the life go out of those people's eyes.
Hmm.
Well, I think I guess in my mind, I'm like, well, he probably wants that to be his mother. So if he sees their face, that's
It's
not
not
mom.
her.
That's
Hmm.
good.
Right.
Yeah, good possibility.
Agree. I
So
definitely agree with
messed
that.
up.
No,
Lord have
that makes
mercy.
perfect sense. I
Yeah,
mean,
Yeah. My God, Britt, you're onto something.
I'm on to something.
call the
Yeah.
FBI. You got something that they probably have no
Yeah.
idea.
Listen,
Right.
when I was little, that was my dream to be a crime scene
Oh,
investigator,
I thought she was going to say serial
I
killer.
thought you were
not a
going to say
serial
serial
killer,
killer as
crime
well.
scene
I want to watch the
investigator.
life
I
drain out of
mean,
your eyeballs.
right.
So that's why you're so fascinated with blood.
I
Hey,
guess so.
Yeah.
you could be a Dexter,
Maybe.
blood splatter specialist, and
I
Well,
love
yeah,
me
yeah.
some
There we go.
Dexter.
There we go.
Yes. Yeah, but that does make good sense though, because he did, whenever he was being interviewed, he did say that while he was sexually assaulting them, it was usually in a missionary type style. But then whenever he was ready for the end of their, relationship at that moment, he would end up behind them in a certain animalistic style, which we're not going to say the name. Um,
it's Discovery
and
Channel stuff going on there.
I know that's right. And so, but he did mention that several times, and it does make good sense. And you're right, the strangulation is definitely one of the most personal types of murder. And it typically is because wow, because you, because you can see it, you can witness it. And what's going on here?
Man, Seth, shut up.
So, yeah. Okay.
Look, I know y'all can't see it. Seth's just got his stuff muted, but he can communicate with us, and he just put Diddy shit.
And I lost every bit of sense I had right then. And watching Brittany sit over there and laugh, I
That's a good
couldn't
one, Seth.
anymore.
Way to
That was
go,
fun,
buddy.
Seth.
Listen, I'm trying to
Thanks.
be quiet, but he's got me crying
Yeah,
over here.
she's got tears rolling down her face. Lordy mercy.
Bazinga.
He's always got his little comments that we can see up in the bottom.
And usually I
Um,
can forego them.
yes, he's always
But
got his
that one,
commentary.
That one was a
that one
good
I
one.
got. Yeah. So, but another crazy thing about Gary Ridgway is that he was always a suspect, even from the beginning of time with these murders.
And the
That they
wife was
could
always like,
literally,
he must really look like somebody. Like she was
yeah,
completely oblivious to the whole
yep,
thing.
100%. And until DNA became a thing, they couldn't prove, And once DNA became a thing, I feel like it it was just like sit back and watch it all happen because they just started rolling in. And it all started coming together and making sense.
I think
So
he even
we
did a couple polygraphs and
passed him.
passed him.
Yeah, passed him. Because he was just, able to believe his own
Calm,
lies,
cool,
I
and
guess.
collected.
Just, yeah.
Yeah,
Like I said, he was so normal. He was just a everyday guy
yeah.
and terrifying. That would be the worst case scenario of how to go out of this world.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah. But he
So,
definitely did not see them as women. He did not see them as humans. He did not see them as worthy. He did not see them at all.
so I'm going to assume that most of these killings or all of these killings was probably, around Utah, Washington.
I'm pretty sure most of them were in Washington State. Yeah, Seattle.
Which, I've traveled up there quite a bit, and there are a lot of homeless up that way, which, a lot of times homeless turns into prostitution, and,
Mm-hmm.
runaways turn into prostitutes. And um, it's just like a breeding ground for it up there. I don't know why, back then that was kind of just where everybody kind of migrated to that were homeless. So,
Well, I think then too, drugs were starting to
yeah,
become, an issue, especially on the West Coast.
yeah, because crack was coming out of New
Everybody,
York City.
right.
Yeah, it
Everybody
was.
was kind of congregating for safety, especially if you were female. And then, to get their drugs, well, what's the quick way to make, $20?
Hmm.
Okay, well, I'll just sell my time. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that, that's kind of why they were where they were. Um, and it just worked out in a totally unfortunate fashion for at least, 50 to 100 of these women.
Wow,
Um,
that number still.
it's
The only thing I
big.
can even come close to is Rodney Ocala.
Hmm. And
They still to
the
this day
the
have no.
ages were all, anywhere from, 15, 16 to, you know, maybe in their 40s at the oldest. They talked a lot about this one particular area, this strip of highway. I forget what the name of the highway was. Um, but it was pretty much just like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it didn't matter the time, the day of the week. It didn't matter if it was a holiday, a regular day. There was hundreds of choices, and you could, negotiate with any or all of them and date all of them if you
Yeah.
wanted to at
Right.
the
Yeah.
time. Probably would have gotten gonorrhea several more times in his life, I feel like.
Well, I mean,
But
once you get rid of it, once you know how to get rid of it from then on out, right?
it's pretty easy. Yeah. Yeah. You just get a
Is
big
that an
shot of
antibiotic
antibiotics
fix?
and right, move along.
But I mean,
Jeez.
with those numbers, like I said, the only thing that comes close to me is Rodney Ocala, and to this day, they have no idea. He could have killed up into the hundreds.
Right.
And they'll never know because now he's dead, and he
Right.
was fairly quiet. He didn't really hit the spotlight a lot to say, hey, if you want to relive this, but he did have his trinkets. But the only person that I can even think that comes close in that number would be him, because if we're looking at 100 people, and Ocala, we know he was up into the hundreds probably.
Right.
That's just in that short of time. If you think about that, in 20 years, up to 90 people, and he had cooling off periods, so that means he got super hot when he got back on.
Right. Well, like Beth
So
said, he only had three or four or something like that. After he married Judith.
yeah, so I mean, he
And
potentially
he
was.
was married to her from, I want to say
Was it like 82 to
yeah, so when he got
2001? 2000,
arrested.
yeah. Yeah.
So potentially he was killing 3 or 4 people a week.
Yeah.
On a hot week, yeah.
85. They married in 85 and got divorced in 2001 after he
Okay.
was arrested.
And she was in complete denial. Like I said,
Yeah.
he was always right on the radar, but they just had circumstantial evidence. They did have a couple people that was able to give, a description, and some of them were pretty close to the way that he looked, I feel like.
And she was like, yeah, he must really look like
Somebody
somebody.
else.
Yeah. But she
So,
also said whenever she moved in with him, his house didn't have any carpet, but it wasn't like finished hardwoods or anything. It was like the carpet had been ripped up and like the
Well, that's the only
floors.
way to get rid of bloodstains, I guess.
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
So whatever happened? I mean, does anybody know what happened to his mom? I'd be kind of curious to find out what her, what her role was in the final days.
I don't know that I know that.
And
I don't know.
if she was alive when
He was arrested and
yeah,
convicted and all that. Yeah, I don't know. That's something that we should maybe look up and cover at another time. But I know this. I know that he received 49 life sentences without the possibility of parole. He is still alive. I believe he's about 76, 77 something years old now. He's one that I absolutely reached out to via email. Snobbed me, would not write me back. Even
She
gave him a
died
brief
on
glance.
August 15th, 2001.
So right at
He
about
was
the
arrested in
time,
2001,
yeah.
but I don't
that
recall
might have
exactly
pushed her over the
when.
edge. That damn
I
kid
mean,
always knew he was
it
going to
did.
prison.
He was
It
apprehended
did.
November 30th, 2001. So she died
Okay,
right
so
before,
Right
so she
before.
knew.
just
Yeah,
in time.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of the people though that they interviewed, childhood friends, neighborhood friends, whatever, that was what they wanted to talk about was how scantily clad she was, that
Mm.
she would sunbathe in these, little skimpy nothing bikinis, and he was just enamored by her. He just, had never seen anything more beautiful than her. And
I'm sure that he had lots of friends and
I'm sure
lots
he
oh,
of
did.
friends that wanted to come
they
over.
wanted to come over,
Uh-huh.
have sleepovers,
Yeah.
probably
Stacy's
wanted
mom
to
type
pee
stuff.
in his bed or something, you know, some R. Kelly stuff. I don't know, but
Some Stacy's mom going on.
yeah, 100%,
Which,
because it was a little weird in there.
I kind of get it because when we were kids, we had this one guy. His mom was similar to that. And, as kids, when I say kids, we were probably 10, 11, maybe 12. And she would be
Hmm.
out, back then, nobody went to tanning beds. They sit
Right,
outside. And she
right.
would
Put
be
the
in a
radio
bikini, and every
on.
damn one of us would just about wreck our bike, you know?
Yeah, just looking
Um,
over there.
yeah, exactly. And she knew it, and she was eating it up. And so, yeah, I kind of get the kind of the attraction with that.
Hmm. Well,
Good
yeah,
times when
and
I was a kid.
yep, ruled his whole entire life. So,
So,
and
it really is like a Norman Bates type story.
hmm Mother Dearest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And with the Oedipus Rex syndrome, I mean, it sounds like that was a classic case for that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's just so many that have, the military background,
Yeah.
the strange fascination with their mothers. Um, of course, anything to do with mistreating animals. Um, there's just so many common denominators
Yep.
that these
Usually a
people,
distant parent.
right, right, or just a neglectful parent that
Right.
maybe
Mhm.
is present but is just neglectful and hateful. Um, and for some of them, their things that they set out to do don't fail. They blend in, they conform to society and its rules
Right.
and its standards, um, and
And,
they do well,
and,
especially if
you
they're
know,
in a structured environment.
right. Yeah. And as you said, his IQ was in the 80s. And a lot of times these guys are failures at, say, academics
Hmm.
or something of that nature, usually marriages. But in the case of being a serial killer, they're very meticulous.
Right.
So, I mean, there's all these, like you said, common denominators between
Hmm.
serial killers
Hmm.
that, you know, I have a book on FBI profiling as far as profiling serial killers, but I have never read it yet.
Okay.
And I definitely, the more that we get into these shows, the more I want to, take time to
Crack it
read
open.
it.
Hmm.
And I says at it again,
I can't
man,
see it.
stop it. But I mean, it's uh, I go back to just the sheer numbers because in these little short bursts of hot spots that he's in, it's gosh, man. I mean, kill one today, already planned for the one for tomorrow, and maybe the
Right.
next day, and then we'll just stop for a year.
Right. Doesn't
And
make any
it's
sense.
no, and God, he would be so interesting to talk to.
Well, I sure tried. Like I
Mm,
said, I even gave him a couple prepaid stamps.
please call me toll free.
Right? No, don't call me, but
Collect.
write me. I mean, I'll write you all day long.
I
Yeah,
would like to talk to his son.
right. And I don't honestly think that in any of the interviews did it ever speak his name, because, if I would have gotten a whole, and on Wikipedia, it didn't say his name. It just showed one biological child. Um, and then that was it. It didn't name a name. So I just wonder if
Um,
the mom didn't,
Maybe
or the
didn't want.
person was
Right.
trying to protect them so that it wouldn't be out there. But like, I'm not ashamed whatsoever. If I find out a name of somebody that used to do your landscaping, um, and I can figure out, things about you, I'm gonna ask it. So
um, and come to find out that your dad was doing all this stuff and you never saw that part of your dad probably. And,
right.
at first it's got to be disbelief. And then
Oh
it's got to
yeah.
turn maybe probably to anger of,
Yeah.
why did you
Resentment.
do it?
Yeah. Why did you do that to my mom? Why
Yeah.
did you do that to me? Why did you do that to these women? Oh, tons of different emotions. Tons. Couldn't even pinpoint all of them.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
I watched one interview where Gary said that his son was actually there when he murdered one lady. And he said, I don't think, I think he was young, maybe only, I don't know, 4 or 5. And he said that he didn't think that he had seen anything. And apparently he didn't. But how can you put not only yourself, but your child in a position that they could potentially see what was going on? You would literally
Right.
scar them for the rest of their life. Like that's not something that they would ever just forget.
Well, and hopefully for the kids' sake and for all of the kids' sakes that have been put in those
Mm-hmm.
horrible situations, the brain is also so amazing.
At like
And
blocking out
at
trauma.
blocking, yes,
Mm-hmm.
at blocking trauma, about, not being able to relive it, re-see it, hear it, all, because you would get it in every sense of the word, sounds, smells,
Mm-hmm.
where you were, what you saw, and so luckily for him, if he doesn't remember having any of those experiences with his dad, but you think about Gary, he remembered the experiences that he had with his dad, um, about, hearing how terrible he would talk about prostitutes, but then he would be like, hang tight here on the bus, boy, because I'm going to go over here and talk to Tanya, onset,
Yeah.
whatever her name is.
And that
So,
makes me wonder, did his dad ever have anything with prostitutes?
oh, yeah. Yeah, with him on the bus. So Gary would ride the bus route with him, and they would, talk about how disgusting these women were, and how degrading they were to themselves and to their gender and what have you. And then Dad would, partake in spending some of his hard-earned money on their services. Yeah,
So now
how
not only is
confusing
he
is that?
sexually have fantasies with his mom, or well, I
Right,
don't know if it'd be fantasies, but she was almost like sexually attracted to him as well.
correct.
Now he's watching his dad do unspeakable things with prostitutes at a young
Right.
age. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can see where it kind of takes
Super
a turn.
confusing. Yeah.
And, at that young age, your brain is still kind of being,
Developing and figuring
yeah,
things
and
out
it's still
and
got things that
what's
need to,
right and what's
yeah,
wrong.
right.
And
It's like,
yeah,
it would be like somebody who witnessed murder over and over and
right.
over again at, say, 8 years old. Well, by the time you're 20, you're going to think murder's okay.
Normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a normal part of life. You lose that that human connection with other people. You don't
Mhm.
see them as
As
uh,
human,
well,
you
yeah,
see them as
but
an object.
you're not emotionally
Mm-hmm.
attached to,
Right.
and when you lose that,
You have no
um,
It becomes very
compassion.
right,
dangerous.
Yeah.
right. And whatever happens to those people, whether it's at your hand, somebody else's hand, or just the hand of fate, it doesn't
Mhm.
affect you.
Right. Yep. It's crazy.
So, way to go, Dad. And Mom,
Right.
you're weird.
And
And
you
Mom,
get the
you're
cherry.
weird.
Yep.
What a weirdo.
What a weirdo.
Yep.
So,
So that's what I got on Gary Ridgway.
you know what? It would take a month of Sundays to get through all of the victims.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
Lord.
But
And
we
there were a lot of
basically,
Jane Does too. There were a lot
Hmm.
of women that were never actually
Identified.
identified.
right.
Hmm.
And it sounds like the mode of a killing was pretty much the same. And it was all sexually driven.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Um, but this guy is apparently going to die in prison. So,
Hmm.
um, wow, the body count just amazes me. But with that, guys, an hour is gone again. So, um, yeah, man, good one. And you caught me off guard because I've heard of this guy, but I have absolutely no recollection of anything that he had done.
That's really interesting to me. I figured that would be one that
Hmm.
you would know all about.
Yeah, and I've heard the Green River Killer for
Hmm.
years, but it wasn't one that caught my attention enough to really dabble into.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad we did. So, guys, be sure and
Yep.
check us out, nighthawk-radio.com, YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, all Nighthawk Radio, Rumble, Nighthawk Radio, one word, and Live 365 app. Look us up there, Nighthawk Radio. Be sure to check out Mountain Mysteries Saturdays at 8 or 7. I'm sorry, Saturdays at 7, Mountain Mysteries. Unfiltered Nation Sundays at 8. This show here Thursdays at 7, the McKenzie Hour Thursday at 8, right after this one. Um, yeah, man. And be sure September 27th, check out the Ohio Blitz. We will
And make
be,
sure that you chat with us.
that's right. We got a chat room.
Yeah.
We're in there during the shows. So, guys, with that, Seth, boy, take us home.
Bye.
See ya.
At Nighthawk Radio, we don't have a 25-year plan. We only have a one-day plan of making great episodes. Everybody have a good night, and God bless.